Analytics to welcome you all for the fourth round of DICE webinar series, How to Pursue a Career in Data Visualization Using Power BI. It's a pleasure for me to announce that our speaker for today is Mr. Abu Bakr Nisar Alvi, who brings in 21 plus years of extensive experience. He has been working as an ICT consultant with various organizations, including the World Bank Group. He's a Microsoft certified data analyst, a Microsoft certified trainer, certified project management professional, and Agile certified practitioner. He's the youngest professional engineer to be awarded with the fourth highest civil award, Tamga Imtiaz, by the government of Pakistan in 2005. So today, Mr. Abu Bakr Nisar Alvi will be guiding us about the right career path in business intelligence domain and the way to pursue it. Moreover, he will be discussing about different business intelligence tools, 4 pillars of BI development in Power BI. He will also be conducting a demo in which you'll get a brief introduction of Microsoft Power BI tool. As you all know, the event will be followed by a Q&A session where you will be getting a chance to clarify all your queries and discuss them directly with our domain expert. So I would request all the attendees to list down your queries during the session and to discuss them in the Q&A session at the end. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. That's all from my side. Over to Mr. Abu Bakr.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Zenna, for having me on this webinar today. Let me share my screen first. Can you share? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you very much again to everybody who has joined this webinar. This is round 4 of the DICE webinar series, and today we are going to talk about how you can pursue a career in data visualization using Microsoft Power BI. I understand that there are people joining from outside Pakistan on this webinar. So the language that would be used for the webinar would be English. But people who are joining from Pakistan in the question and answer session, they can ask the questions in Urdu. I don't want people to just shy away because of the language constraint. They can ask the question in Urdu language, and I can translate that into English, and even I can communicate the answer in Urdu if that is required. So let's start. As Zainab has very kindly introduced me, I have 21 plus years of experience. I'm basically a computer engineer and with a master's degree in electronics engineering from England. The bulk of my experience has been as an embedded system engineer. I have been working in the defense sector for, I worked in the defense sector for like 16 years. And then I left that job in the public sector, and then I started my own consultancies. I am a principal consultant at Radic Technologies, which is partly the company which I am also a co-founder. And mainly I've been working for the last 3+ years with the World Bank Group here in Pakistan, as well as in Indonesia, Jakarta, where I am working with the Indonesian government on a project that is being funded by the World Bank. So my journey with data goes it goes back to 20 years when none of these tools were there. And I was basically working as a telemetry data engineer, where my job was to not only collect data, but also to analyze data, present data. And I had exposure to multiple tools, mainly Microsoft Excel, and some of the stuff that required some extensive the data analysis was done in MATLAB and some other tools. So for the last 3.5-4 years, I have been extensively working on these tools, most notably Power BI and Tableau. And I am also teaching this for the last 4 months in DICE, where I'm basically working as a lead trainer on data visualization. So today's session, as mentioned by Zenna, was basically we will touch upon the data visualization and the business intelligence world, and how generally for a fresh entrant into the field, what career path, what options are there if you are really interested in building a profile and building a career in this area. In order to understand that, you must understand what is the typical data life cycle in the industry, that how the end-to-end data consumption in the industry is driven by different tools and how the whole life cycle works. Then I'll spend some time explaining why Power BI is a very good tool, for data visualization. And if you are, especially if you are a fresh entrant, or if you are already an experienced individual and want to learn data visualization, data analytics, or business intelligence, why Power BI is, it could be your one of the tools of your choice. And I will also highlight some of the learning resources, because the first thing that comes to mind, that if somebody wants to learn Power BI, then what are the learning resources which are available, which are obviously freely available. And then there are paid resources, like the one like the one which DICE offers. And obviously we have a very extensive workshop that we offer for Power BI, and which you can attend from anywhere in the world, and build enough foundation in Power BI that you can apply for any entry level position in the industry. And then that would be followed by the demo. Before the demo, I'll open the floor for the question and answers. And once my demo is complete, and I'll also open the floor for question and answer, where I'll go through one recent example that I built, one recent dashboard that I built for a competition. And I'll walk you through that how Power BI can be used to build such dashboards and visualizations. So let's start formally. So what is business intelligence? Most of the people who hear the word business intelligence for the first time, they kind of they could just go with the literal meaning of the word business. Yeah, in Pakistan, especially, once you are talking in terms of business intelligence, some people think that it is something related to the common terminology of doing business. You need to be an entrepreneur or something like that. It's something that is not related to the corporate sector or the public sector. So just to clarify this, the word business here means the domain that you are working in. So any domain that you are working in, whether you are working in the finance sector, whether you are working in the HR sector, whether you are working as maybe a journalist, maybe you are somebody who is doing some marketing assignment, any domain that you are working in, that is your business. And obviously the word intelligence comes where some sort of intelligence is required to make decisions. So anything that transforms raw data into successful decisions is called business intelligence. It's as simple as that. So business intelligence is a general term that refers to the collection, analysis, and use of data in business to make decisions. So you don't need to just overcomplicate this definition. So whatever domain that you are working in, you need to have some kind of a raw data. You need to collect that data, you need to put it in a certain way, you have to clean it, you have to model it, and then the data is ready for analysis. Like the basic form that most of us attending this webinar must have done is like the Microsoft Excel tool, where you can have just two columns, having one column having a number field, or one column having some kind of a qualitative field or a categorical field, and you can just plot a bar plot or or a line plot or anything like that. So starting from that to a very complex example where you can have multiple dozens of the tables and arranged in a particular manner, where which we call as a data model. You can refer to that as just part of the business intelligence or the data analysis process. So basically, first thing that you need to do is basically you need to aggregate that data. It could be in the form of a database, it could be a data mart, a data warehouse, it could be just a combination of Excel sheets, it could be a combination of CSV files, it could be multiple sources, some data coming from a database, some data coming from an Excel sheet, some data coming from maybe a website. It could be anything. You need to just aggregate that data, and then after doing certain processes, which I'm going to talk about shortly, then you present that data. And that is all about today, which we call as the data visualization part. And Power BI is one tool which can help you in presenting that information. And ultimately, that dashboard is not there for just for the sake of having a look at, just for having fun, or just looking at the data that it looks good on a computer or on a LED screen. It is basically going to help you to make informed decisions, which are fact driven and data driven. So that is the whole business intelligence cycle, or the whole business intelligence philosophy that you need to understand. So where this thing stands, once we are talking about data, so basically everything which is related to the management of data, which is related to the storage of data, which is related to the integration and all the metadata. Metadata basically is the description of data. Some people call it metadata, some people call it the data dictionary. It's one and the same thing. So anything, anything and everything which is dealing with these things is the data foundation that you must have. It could be as simple as just an Excel sheet sitting on your laptop, or it could be as complex as a big data driven data warehouse. It could be anything. And on top of that, you have this visualization and reporting layer, which we call as the business intelligence layer. And here we are talking about reports and dashboards for performance management, information delivery, and ultimately decision making. And on top of that, there is another layer which we call as advanced analytics. But frankly, this layer, this boundary is getting fuzzy with every passing day, because the tools which are available, like Power BI and other tools in the market, this layer is kind of getting fuzzy. Ultimately, it would all be called just analytics or business intelligence, because the tools now are so powerful that some kind of basic machine learning or artificial intelligence functions are already available in these tools. So classically, this is the machine learning or the data science domain, but now this boundary is getting very fuzzy, and soon there would be just it would be called as advanced analytics or business intelligence, or whatever technical jargon comes up with time. So ultimately, the goal is to have some kind of visualization which is like the one shown on your screen, and the goal is to convert raw data into actionable insights. So why one needs to pursue a career in data visualization or data analysis or business intelligence? Because if you see, there are two stats on the screen. One is the one which is shown on the left, which says the top 12 interesting careers to explore in big data. So you would be hearing the word big data, machine learning, data analysis, and similar terms that you hear on a daily basis. The point is that all of these terms are very closely interrelated. There are differences. Once I'm going to show you those would be much clear, but there are very very small differences between these fields, and it is up to you that what career you want to pursue, and then it is up to the individual whether he wants to either go deep into that particular stream, or he or she wants to kind of diversify the knowledge that he or she has at a particular stage of the career. So basically, putting these stats here, before I go into the details of these, is that this is the thing that you are going to find the most on all kinds of posts that you see on LinkedIn and other job platforms, and all kinds of surveys either be conducted by the World Economic Forum or all the other organizations who are talking about the opportunities that are being offered to the people in the next 5 to 10 years. And all of those stats would have the word data analyst, data science, AI, big data, these kind of words. And most probably you are going to find all these terms in the top 5. Most of the surveys, or most of the job postings that you see, these words you would find in the top 5 in terms of the increasing demand. And that is why it is very relevant to talk about having a career if you are just graduating, or if you plan to graduate in a couple of years time, or even if you are working in the industry, to have a look at anything and everything related to data. So like I said, it is the most in-demand skill for the industry. It offers equal opportunities in industry as well as academia. More than 80% of the companies are likely to adopt big data analytics technologies by 2025. This is a prediction that has been made by World Economic Forum. And no matter if you are a student, if you are just graduating, or even if you are in the industry for 5 years, 10 years, you still have an opportunity to pivot yourself, and there are great opportunities to learn and grow. And obviously, at the end of the day, everybody is is looking at what kind of money we are going to make out of this. And let me tell you that it is one of the highly paid fields all over the world. It is not specific to any geography in the world. Anywhere that you go these days, anything related to data, you're bound to get a good salary for the work that you do. Okay, so there are questions which are coming, and I'll go back to those questions like I said before I jump into the demo. So kindly just keep posting those questions, but I'm going to answer those questions towards the end. Okay, so next, before going into and understanding what area is relevant to you once you're pursuing a career, you must have a basic understanding of the end-to-end data lifecycle. This diagram is a very crude example of how the data lifecycle looks like in the industry. So you start off from the very left, where you are just collecting data. And like I said, there are millions and millions of resources out there which are storing data. You can store that data simply on your computer hard drive, and you can have a very complex big data solution in your enterprise. You can have a big data solution in the cloud. You can have data coming in from the social media. You can have the data coming in from your software applications, from the mobile applications. Think about anything that you do in your daily life, and you'll realize that everything in today's digital world is ultimately generating this data. So somebody has to develop a system that basically collects the data. So the first step is basically the data collection process. Then if you're talking about complex system, then there needs to be kind of a as we see in our houses, or any big building that we see, there are two kinds of network which are running in that building. One is the pipelines that we see for the water in any building, and then is the electricity network, the network of wires that you have in any building. So think about that once you're talking about the data. So you have these pipelines, or you have these wires coming in, and you have a system where the data is being ingested. And in most scenarios where the data analysis is complex, you have basically a system where you are kind of dumping the data. You must have heard about the word data lake, which is very common these days. So it doesn't matter where this data lake resides or where this dumping ground is. It could be, your PC could be that dumping ground. Maybe you have a solution in your organization, in the enterprise that you're working, which is an on-premise solution, or maybe it could be, something in the cloud, or maybe you have a distributed system where you are storing some data within your premises, and some data is being stored in the cloud. So ultimately, you have a dumping ground where you are collecting all this data. And from this dumping ground or this data lake, then comes the actual part where the data preparation comes. And in most scenarios, once we are talking about the enterprise, you have a data warehouse, which is nothing but an organized way of maintaining data. I'm not going to go into the technical details of what is a data warehouse, but you can just look at a conventional warehouse. If anybody has seen a conventional warehouse, a retail warehouse, you find various sections. If you have a warehouse which may be covering an area in acres, and you can't have things placed randomly. So the data warehouse is something similar to a normal warehouse, where you have everything organized, where you know what kind of data is sitting and what kind of data is actually required to be placed in the data warehouse. And then there are machines which are working to extract data from this data warehouse, and ultimately the goal is to get the insights from this data. And this is called the presentation layer, the layer that we are going to talk about today. And then there are the tools like Power BI, which take you through all these steps, and you are able to find the insights which are there in the data. So to have a basic understanding of what Power BI has to offer, you need to understand this whole diagram without going into the technical details of each of these layers. Okay, so So this is how a traditional data warehouse used to look, like 5 years back, and still some of the industry is still, following this conventional or traditional data warehouse methodology, where you have the transactional systems, which we call as the online transactional processing system, your databases, the ERPs, the CRMs, and other databases, and then you do certain processes which are called batch processes. And you must have heard about the word ETL, where ETL stands, ETL or ELT, where these stands for extract, transform, and load. So basically you go, you extract the data that you want, you transform that data into the form that you want, and then you load that data into the data warehouse. And from that data warehouse, you have either data cubes or data marts, which basically store the data in a form which we call as dimensional data modeling. We create dimensional data models which are best suited for the reporting. And here is the is the reporting layer or the visualization layer, where we give this we give access to the tool, to these data marts and cubes, and we create reports and dashboards, like we are going to talk about Power BI today. But over the last 5 to 7 years, there has been a slight change as the data, the size of the data, the volume of the data, and the velocity and the veracity of the data has increased. There is a layer which you hear these days, which is the big data layer. So here the big data layer has come in between the data warehouse and the data collection layer. And this big data layer is now there in almost all the big enterprises that you talk. And it might not be present in all of the scenarios, but slowly but surely most of the organizations are moving towards this kind of an architecture. But again, the reporting layer is towards the end, and you have basically an access to an analytical data mart, which presents that data to the reporting tool, like the Power BI or the Tableau, or all the other tools that fall into this category. And similarly, over the last 5-7 years, this kind of an architecture is like, there are certain industry leaders, or there are certain tools which are there to translate that layer into a physical system. And so the terms that you see here, like HDFS or Kafka or Spark, these are the tools. I'm not highlighting any particular tool, but like 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 organizations would be using these tools to perform the functions that you see in a modern data warehouse. And this is the architecture that you would find in any on-premise solution that has been that is there in any organization which is supporting a big data solution, and has a data warehouse, and has a BI system covering everything. And similarly, this kind of an ecosystem has developed over the last few years in the public cloud also. So all the three big or all the major cloud service providers like AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, they also have tools which kind of clone the same layer. So you have starting from the data ingestion layer to the presentation layer, you have different tools. Some of you might have heard about these tools as well. So once you build your understanding on this layer, which I showed you earlier, then it is very easy to just learn the specific tool, learn some of the things which are like 70 to 80%, the most of the things are common, and then you can use that knowledge, and you can just go and apply that knowledge into the public cloud as well. So this is an example for AWS, and similarly we have an architecture for Azure, and also for Google Cloud. And this guy Satish Chandra Gupta, he has put a, you can go to this link and you can find a very good paper where he talks about these commonalities, and how you can just see the whole data methodology, or the whole data layer has been organized in the cloud as well. So you would find various personas related to these roles that I just talked about. I'm not going to go into the details of all of these. I'm just going to focus on the BI developer role, and that too specifically Power BI. But these are the personas that are available in the industry, and some of the webinars, like the 3 webinars which have happened, and you can access the recordings if you have not attended those live, have talked about these personas in quite detail. So please go and just have a look at those personas. So what makes data visualization so attractive in this whole space is that I would say that it is the lowest hanging fruit. It is the most easiest way to get entry into this whole data ecosystem. And if you have a basic understanding of Microsoft Excel, and in addition, if you have a good understanding of SQL, I'm not saying that that understanding is required, but it is desired that you have the basic understanding of how SQL works. Although we are not going to write any SQL once you're developing anything, but it is just the logic behind the use of SQL, that how you access data and how you extract information, how you apply filters, how you do the group bys and stuff like that. If you have that basic understanding of Excel and SQL, you are good to go and enter the field which we called as the business intelligence world. So if you are talking in terms of progressing through this whole ecosystem, so I would say the first step on this ladder would be the data warehouse and BI. You can go into the details of a data warehouse. That is, if you can do that, that is excellent. But even if you don't want to go into the technical details of a data warehouse, you can still go and learn the BI thing. And the tools which are most commonly used in the industry are Power BI and Tableau and Click and some of the other tools. And the thing that matters in addition to the knowledge that you gain is the domain knowledge. And again, it is the business knowledge. Once I'm talking about the domain knowledge, it is the business knowledge. Whether you are working in the financial domain, whether you are working as an HR expert, whether you are a marketing guy, whether you are a sales guy, whether you are a CEO of a company, doesn't matter at what tier you are looking at, and what tier you want to adapt yourself to become a BI developer. Very basic information or very basic knowledge is required, and you are just ready for venturing into the world of data. And as you progress, then you have options either to go and into the depths of BI. You can be an expert at more than one of these tools, or you can say, okay, I have enough understanding on one tool and I feel comfortable. Now I want to explore the rest of the the rest of the cycle. I want to explore what big data is. So big data could be the next step after you have understood the data, the BI part and the data warehousing. So you can explore the domain which we call as today as the data engineer or the cloud engineer, and then you can go and explore some of the advanced algorithms that are there to get insights into the data world. Even you can skip this step, you can go from this step to this step. But to highlight the point relevant to today's webinar is that I would say that BI is probably the lowest hanging fruit. If you are new, if you want to explore what data looks like, the easiest thing is to just get yourself familiarized with one of the BI tools, and you are ready to go. And then you can have enough exposure, and you can do some experimentation, play around with these tools, and then you can decide, okay, this thing attracts me, this thing suits me, this thing is like close to what I feel that I want to be. So this is the most easiest part. And if you go and start with big data or machine learning or deep learning without understanding BI, it's not that easy. Some kind of basic knowledge is required. So this is the point of putting this here in this slide, is that BI is basically the lowest hanging fruit and the starting point before you go into anything complex. So again, this is a visual that talks about the skill set which is required if you are venturing into the world of data, and you'll find this Venn diagram at many places. So there are various various roles in the industry, whether you are an analyst, whether you are a builder, or you're just as a consultant, or you are good at anything which I say, or which people say refer to as the unicorn. So there are different kinds of roles, or different types of data scientists, or different type of data analysts who are there in the industry, and there are different skill sets which which are required for each of these roles. So if you are good at maths and stats, So the data analysis is the closest thing, that is suitable to your background. If you are good at software development, then you can, just think about being a data engineer. And if you are, sitting at a CEO level, or at a senior position, and you're just good at understanding the business, then probably, the role of a consultant is more suited to you. But again, I would say that before venturing into anything, and assuming that you have no, or very little understanding of data, I would say that the easiest thing to build upon something is the BI thing, or the data visualization part. Okay, so there are. I'm just going to show you a couple of stats before we talk about Power BI. So there is a company called Gartner, and they publish this Magic Quadrant, which is based upon their research methodology. So Gartner is a company that basically is a research company. They are independent researchers, and they have certain benchmarks for different areas related to all the technologies which are relevant in the fast growing markets. And then they plot the different players, the relevant players in the industry, in their Magic Quadrant. And these quadrants they label as the leaders, the visionaries, niche players, and challengers. And then they also have an accompanying critical capabilities list, which they share with all their readers, about all the service providers which are relevant to that particular product. So you can just go and check what Gartner offers. So we are just going to talk about the business intelligence and analytical platforms report that they publish every year. And you see there are two reports, one on the left and one on the right. And this one came in January 2020, and this one came in February 2021. And the Microsoft is the leader, and standing on top in terms of all the other competitors. So that is, that's not what I feel, or this is not something which I'm advocating. It is something which has been published, or which has been advertised by something as big and as reliable or as authentic a source as Gartner. So Microsoft Power BI is basically the industry leader for the last many years. And I'm just showing you the curve, this graph, or this visual for the last 2 years. And very close to Microsoft Power BI is Tableau and Click. So kind of, you can see the top three leaders are the same, but Microsoft is kind of stable, and Tableau has gone down a little from 2021 to 2022, and Click is almost kind of at the same spot. So if you are talking about Microsoft Power BI, if you are pursuing something related to Power BI, then you should be very much comfortable that this is something which is very much there in the industry. And in fact, it is one of the leaders in the industry once you are talking about any business intelligence and analytics platform. So some of the strengths that they give about Power BI is basically related to its alignment with the Microsoft family. So we all know that Microsoft is a big name in the digital world for a good about last 30-40 years. And they have the company has transformed itself from being just a Windows developer or a Microsoft Windows. They have moved themselves from being just a Microsoft Windows operating system developer and seller to a whole big player in the industry. And they have their own public cloud by the name of Azure. And Power BI is kind of organically fits into that ecosystem, and that is a very big advantage that Microsoft has. So that is one of the strengths. And then obviously, if you go and read the history of these BI tools, some of these tools which were there like 10 years back, they were super expensive. And a small or a medium-sized enterprise or individual who wanted to use these tools, the cost of the licensing were like kind of out of the window. So the Power BI came into the market, and they basically kind of broke this monopoly of these vendors. And their price and power combination is probably their strongest point. And they have captured the market, and now they are focused on increasing the functionality and offering more and more features in their products, which are like the ML capabilities, the AI powered services, and the text and sentiment and image analytics capabilities that come. And the cost of licensing is still very, very cheap. So if you are planning to go and venture into the world of Power BI, so probably you just need to have $10 for a very basic license. if you are planning to go and work as a professional. And if an enterprise level solution you want to adapt, then you just need to have the premium version, which is the premium per user version, available at $20 per month. So it is the cheapest kind of solution which is there in the market. And then again, the last thing, which is the scope of the product ambition. The Microsoft has a very clear roadmap and or the journey map that they give to their users. And the best thing about Microsoft Power BI is that they have their updates coming every month. So you have new features coming in the Power BI tool every month. And believe me, if you had looked at this tool 3 years back and you look at this tool, the same tool today, you would hardly recognize the features that are there in 2000 maybe 18, and which are now available into 2021. It has been a huge improvement that has happened, and they have a very clear roadmap in terms of where they want to take Power BI, and the users know it, and they are just waiting for the updates to come every month. So basically, now I'm going to talk about Power BI in detail. So once we are talking about Power BI, like I said, Power BI broke the monopoly of all these tools, and one of the major reasons for that was that the main tool that you use for the development of all your business requirements and all your data visualization, which is the Power BI desktop tool, is absolutely free. This tool is absolutely free for life. You can just go and download this tool, and almost 80 to 85% of the work in terms of that basic development is done in this tool. And you only require the other two tools once you are you have done your basic development. You are ready to share that development with your peers and with your organization or with your colleagues. And then you need to go into the cloud service, which is called the Power BI service, and you just can get the license, the basic license, and $10 per month per user. So that is very cheap. So imagine, if a small organization wants to have a business intelligence solution and they want to start off with a very, very low budget that they have. So 10 people working in the organization, each can get a very basic license, and they are good to go. And they have all the capabilities available in almost any tool in the industry, that are any tool in the industry has to offer. So this is the whole Power BI family. And once you talk about Power BI, there are basically 4 pillars that you need to understand if you want to start development or start working in Power BI. The 4 pillars are: number 1, loading and transforming data. This is the first thing that you do. That is the first thing you do in any tool. But again, Power BI has its own tool, dedicated sub tool within this tool that that is used to do the data loading and transformation part. Then comes the data modeling part, where you prepare the data that you have collected, you have transformed, and you have loaded, and then you build a data model. That data model you need to develop. I'm not going to go into the details of this data model. So you need to understand what is the difference between OLTP and what is OLAP. And OLTP is the transactional databases that store the data that we understand if you're coming from a CS or an IT background. And OLAP stands for online analytical processing. So this is, or we can call it the data modeling part, or the dimensional data modeling, where we have a certain structure or a certain schema that we need to develop. And once we have that structure, then that data is ready for analysis. And once we are talking about the analysis, then there are 2 further pillars. One is the DAX programming. DAX is basically the language that you use in Microsoft Power BI, and it is also the language of Power Pivot if people are coming from an Excel background. So DAX stands for data analysis expression. So this is the language, something similar to any so something similar to SQL, although if the syntax is similar, is very different, but it kind of does the same job that you do with SQL with your data. So this is the language that you need to understand for your analysis, and then ultimately you need to understand how the reporting is done and how the visualizations are built. So this is the 4-step process that you follow: loading and transforming data, data modeling, DAX programming, and reporting and visualization. So this is the exact scheme that we follow in our workshop as well. We spend time, start off with the loading and transformation, then we spend time, doing data modeling, and then bulk of the time is basically spent on that, on the analysis, which is the DAX programming and the reports and the visualization. One thing that is very relevant to what this whole thing is all about is basically data storytelling. So in any industry or any any organization you're working in, data storytelling is gaining importance with every passing day. So what is data storytelling? So data storytelling is something that reduces the gap between the business and the data and technology side. So imagine you have all your technical jargon, the databases, the data warehouses, and the big data clouds and stuff like that on this side, and you have the people, the decision makers, all the the relevant stakeholders who are going to use this data to make decision. They are sitting on the other side, and here to bridge this gap, you have the data storyteller who basically removes this gap or tries to remove this gap between the business and data technology. And it is the role of the BI developer or the data analyst. And this is something which has gained a lot of traction and a lot of momentum in the last few years, where you have like people just talking primarily that how you can tell a story about your data. It's not about dumping the information to in front of the stakeholders, like you have 100 plots or a dozen diagrams showing different things. It's not about that. It is basically building a story, building something that helps the decision makers to make a decision, to enable the change which is required, and for the reason they invest so much money in the whole data ecosystem. So this is again a very important skill that you need to have, and that develops slowly once you are in this domain. And again, like I talked about, the goal is not to show the data, but you have to communicate the data. You have to communicate effectively with data. So there's a good book. I've taken this this visual from a book which is called Storytelling with Data, a data visualization guide for business professionals by Cole Nussbaumer Knaflick. She's a well-known name in the field of data storytelling. So this is the whole ecosystem about data storytelling, that you understand the context, then you choose the effective visual, then you eliminate the clutter that is there on your report. You don't need to put hundreds of pointers and hundreds of graphs on your report, and then just focus on the meaningful information. Just focus on the attention to just focus on the points which need the attention, and then basically based upon this thing you tell a story, that what happened, why it happened, and ultimately what you need to do based upon the information that is there on your story. So again, you must have seen these kind of visuals. These are the visuals which are available in Power BI. These are the native visuals which are there in Power BI. You have hundreds of visuals which are in addition to these visuals, which are called custom visuals. So we are going to just have a look at that. But just this was a good visual that I picked up from one of the resources, which talks about what kind of visualizations are there, and in what scenario you have these options which are available. You have good integration with if you are a Python developer or a R developer, you can write code in Python and R also. So there are a lot of things coming up in terms of Power BI. So this kind of last slide before I jump into the demo, that very relevant to especially for the people who are coming from you're just graduating or are still students in the universities, that 99% of the people, they have a fairly good understanding as a student about what PowerPoint is and what Microsoft Excel has to offer. So this is your starting point, I would say. The next step would be, if you are trying to learn anything related to business intelligence, is just go and have a look at SQL. And SQL doesn't require any mathematics background or any technical background. You just need to have a basic understanding of the syntax and how the data is organized. And then, just like I mentioned, just a very basic understanding of how the whole ecosystem of the data warehousing works. You don't need to go and build a data warehouse of your own. Just a basic understanding, and then you need to learn a good BI tool like Power BI or maybe Tableau. Any of these tools. And then if you have covered all these bases and you have like done some work hands-on work, then you can say that you have a good beginner level understanding, and you can apply for any beginner level position in the industry. And then you can with your experience and working in the industry, you can master data storytelling, you can master your domain knowledge. Then you can maybe even go for any good certification that Power BI or Tableau has to offer, to build upon your BI portfolio, and then take that knowledge, build the machine learning concepts, build the cloud concepts, and then you can say that I have a good intermediate level understanding of this area. And if you still want to go deep, then you need to understand how the data strategy for any organization works. Most of the organizations these days, they just know that data has to be there, some kind of a data has to be there, but frankly they don't understand what data strategy is best suited for their organization. Then again, on top of that is the data governance hierarchy, that who has access to what information, how the data is being governed, how the quality of the data, how the integrity of the data is being ensured. And all of that ultimately leads to an enterprise level data management understanding, which is like sitting at a maybe at a CIO level or a CDO level, or head of data analytics, or whatever you can call that. So this is the path that you can take, and you can start off from here if you are a student who is about to graduate or who has just graduated and he wants to just venture into the data world and want to explore that what all is there. So briefly, I just touch upon the certification, because I just mentioned that there is a dedicated certification which is called as the DA 100 certification, or the Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Associate. There is an exam which is called as a DA 100 exam, which is conducted by Microsoft. You can prepare for this exam, and once you clear that exam with almost a 70-75% passing, then you earn the certification, which is valid for 2 years. And you can say that I am a Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Associate. And a lot of people in the industry, they go for this certification because it looks good on your profile. Obviously, if you are able to pass DA 100, then that obviously shows that you have a fairly good understanding of all the things that Power BI has to offer, because this is a very comprehensive exam, and it covers all the 4 pillars that I just showed you. And I'm sure most of the people would have, after listening to whatever I have just said in the last 40 minutes or so, would be that where to start. And most people are like, the first thing that they want to do is go and explore all the resources that are there on the internet, on the YouTube, and all the websites and all the other stuff. So I have put this slide there, in my deck, which are like the top 10. Based upon my experience and based upon my understanding, these are probably the top 10 resources on the internet. And most of these resources are available. They have a dedicated website, they have a dedicated YouTube channel, and they have their own expertise, which you need to go and understand. Some of them cover all the things that Power BI has to offer. Some of them, they are very good at the reporting and visualization part. Some of them are the top experts in DAX programming. Some of them, they talk in detail about the loading and transformation. So all of these resources are there. So just go there if you want to venture, you want to explore what all is there. Then you can just go and look at these resources, and most of these resources are free. Obviously, any organization, once it once it has to offer something which takes a dedicated learning schedule or a learning path, then they have paid programs like the one we have at DICE, that is a a complete structured program where we take you from through all those 4 pillars. And some of these organizations and some of these resources that I've shown, they also follow the same. So these are, so if somebody wants to just go instead of randomly searching stuff, just go on these 10 resources and explore what they have to offer. And like at DICE, we have a very extensive program across the whole data ecosystem. We start off with the data warehouse and business intelligence, and then we have dedicated courses for the BI tools, which is like Power BI and Tableau. And if somebody wants to go and explore the big data analytics, then there is a complete big data course. Then we have basically, in addition to your basic data understanding, you need to have a business understanding. So we have a dedicated structured course on business analytics. And then obviously most people, they are like today, they are interested in the buzzword that is data science and machine learning. And we have like more than one courses. We have like 3 courses where this one is which is, you know, focused on using Python, data science and machine learning. Then people who are coming from non-programming background, they want to, you know, explore a solution that involves little or no coding. So we have a dedicated course, which is the data science for no coders. And once you have built your foundations, then you are ready to venture into the advanced concepts that machine learning has to offer. So kind of, you know, the whole ecosystem is covered. And you know, we have these programs. You can go and check our website, and all of the details are there. And the trainers, they come from the industry. They have you know, worked extensively with data. They are like there in the industry and used all these tools very extensively. So what I'm talking about today, and the demo that I'm going to conduct in a few minutes time, is basically the related to the Power BI workshop that we have. We offer a 40-hour course. It is spanned over, you know, 40 hours over 4 weeks. We give enough time for your hands-on, you know, learning. We have like 3 to 4 projects that we have associated with all the modules in the course, and you spend good time. And you can you know, just go on the Dice Analytics website, diceanalytics.pk, and you just go and find all the relevant details there. So before I venture into the demo, I would like to, you know, open the floor for questions and answers. Now we can like take the questions and answers for like 10 minutes, and then we can, you know, go and have a demo for like 10-15 minutes, and then at the end again we can have 10 to 15 minutes of question and answer. So first, let me go and check the chat. Once I'm done with the chat thing, then probably I'll open it for the people to ask questions in you know, through on the webinar. So the question is that how can I start my career in data science? Mohammed Zia. I think I've talked about it in very detail. Probably you would have a good understanding. And please go and watch this the webinars that have already taken place. The 3 webinars, they are all free. You can go to the Dykes website, YouTube channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere, and you can watch the recordings for those. And you can, you know, have a fairly good understanding about, you know, what I talked about and what those people talked about. Please state differences between data science. I think I've touched upon this thing as well. Saeed Ali, data science, data engineering, data analytics, and business analysis. Again, please go, and if you are interested in more details, please go and watch those webinars. Can we use data tools to visualize blockchain-based data? I'm not talking about crypto, but technologies based on blockchain where privacy is the key. Yes, obviously you can have a completely secure link to your source data. You know, if that data is super sensitive and super, you know, confidential, then you don't want to put that data on the cloud. Then you can, you know, go for a solution which is on premise, and Power BI you know, can connect to that whatever mechanism you have to store that data. You know, you can go and check that. I'm not sure about the blockchain itself, how you can, you know, go and access the data which is part of the blockchain, because frankly I don't have the understanding. I just know that blockchain is something which is you know, I know the basic architecture of blockchain, but probably I don't have the expertise to probably answer that, if that is the exact question that you have asked. So I'm sorry if my answer is relevant to what you have asked, Mr. Ahmed Abdul Hasib. Then there are questions. How can I start career in data science? Again, I've answered. Thanks for insight to data industry. You're welcome. I'm working in textile industry, Faisalabad, so they're using Oracle. That is not very good shape. Can you suggest me how to utilize Power BI? So you just need to connect Power BI to any database, any tool. Oracle has a dedicated connector which is available in Power BI. Just need to connect that with Power BI, learn Power BI, and start you know, doing the analysis. Any industry, anything. I think there are more than 100 connectors, different kind of connectors which are available in Power BI, and every month, you know, they are adding more and more connectors. I'll show you once we go into the demo. How can we integrate interactive maps with geotagging in Power BI? So we have like 4 to 5 dedicated visuals that Power BI offers, but some people have further requirements where they want, you know, much more detailed information for to explore their maps, especially the shape maps. So Power BI has a good integration with Mapbox. I am not sure if you have heard about that. If you have heard about Mapbox, just Google Mapbox. And you can just see the kind of integration that Power BI offers. There is a free tier also, and then there is a paid tier, and you can connect to Power BI and apply all kinds of row level security features and everything in Power BI. Some people have this understanding in the industry that probably Tableau is much more suited for spatial analysis. I would kind of agree with that also, and kind of say that it's not 100% true, because Power BI is very very quickly and very rapidly improving their capabilities for the map integration. So just go and explore Power BI. The beauty about Power BI is that it is free. Just go download Power BI desktop, and whatever your scenario, whatever your situation is, just go and experiment and just try and understand what is there. So, for Tableau, if you want to get that the same experience, you can do it free for 14 days. Although there are certain workarounds which I'm not going to talk about in today's webinar, obviously. But again, you have to pay some certain amount of money. But for Power BI, even if you want to just analyze a tool, the beauty about Power BI is that it is absolutely free. So just go and do that. How is Power BI different that insight landing? I'm not sure about this insight landing part. If you can probably explain to me, Mr. Khurram, that what this insight landing means. I'm not sure about the terminology. Is this you're talking about some kind of a tool or something else? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this thing. Interested to know about ArcGIS and users guide if there are any trainings. We just touch upon the spatial the spatial mapping and the spatial tools in our workshop. We kind of like spend a couple of hours on that, but obviously we don't go into the details, because this workshop is not related to the spatial use of Power BI. Just one case is the spatial is just one case of Power BI, but there are certain people in the industry who have spatial as a case. So there are very good resources on the internet which you can go and explore. The ones which I have mentioned, and they talk about some of these maybe tools and some of these trainings. Can we use BI tools with RPA framework? Yes, definitely, because Microsoft has its own RPA framework. The Power Automate and the whole Power Platform is ultimately a RPA platform, and the very good integration with Power BI is available. What's your view on SAP as a tool compared to others? So basically, there are so many tools in the industry. I'm just talking about Power BI because it's the easiest to learn, it's the cheapest to learn, and once you have a fairly good understanding, then you can go and explore other tools. There are certain tools which perform better than Power BI in certain scenarios, but that is something which is specific to a particular industry. Most of the people, they have this question that how do you rate Power BI versus Tableau versus MicroStrategy? The answer is that these are all tools which have their own kind of niche value in certain scenarios. And if you're just talking about that niche value, then yes, one tool probably would be better than the other. But if in terms of just the general outlook, like the graph that I showed you from Gartner, then obviously the Power BI and Tableau, they offer much more than all the others. Okay. In which state of learning I can call myself a data scientist? Again, it depends. I think I have explained this thing. Probably you start off with the lowest hanging fruit, explore that. If you like that, then then you can decide that I want to go and learn more of these BI tools, or I want to just go and expand my knowledge in terms of depth versus the width or the breadth. You want to go deep into BI, then you need to learn more tools. You need to maybe learn Power BI. You maybe need to learn MicroStrategy in the organization that you're working. Maybe you need to learn some other tool. But if you want to, you say, okay, I have learned one tool, I understand how BI works, then probably you can go and explore the big data thing and the data science thing. So that depends totally what kind of background knowledge you have and how much time you are willing to spend. BI is very, very effective in technical project management. As a project manager or a program manager like myself, I have been a program manager for the most of my career. We are mostly related, in looking at the Gantt charts and the all these risk metrics and stuff like that, but we don't have the understanding where we can go and directly interact with the data ourselves. There is hardly any interactivity that we have. We are just good at making good PowerPoints and showing those PowerPoints, but all those visuals are static. Power BI gives you that flexibility where you can do the dynamic analysis, where you can do interactive analysis. So obviously, as a project manager, I think probably if you are a project manager, then BI is very much the thing that you need to understand. Do you offer the BI courses for attendees outside Pakistan? Yes, we do. We have the special. We also have custom courses. Probably our sales team or Zenna on this forum is probably the best person to ask that question. You can just ask Zenna or drop an email in private, and she can explain that. Normally used for Excel for normal reports. Yes, Excel is obviously there, but Excel has certain limitations. Excel cannot be used to share data. If you have certain data that you don't want to expose to certain people, then Excel doesn't have that functionality. You have to just share the Excel sheet. You don't have any other mechanism. But in Power BI, you can have the independent workspaces where you want to add people. You can have a hierarchy. You can have row level security, anything like that. So if you're coming from an Excel background, yes, Excel has a good visualization and even dashboarding capability. But once you want to share that information in an organization with your colleagues and in a certain hierarchy or a data governance and management mechanism, then obviously Excel cannot do that. Difference between data mining and data slicing in Pakistani firms are showing interest in focusing. Yes, Pakistani firms are talking these days. In fact, most of the organizations are short on good resources. There is a big shortage of good resources in the Pakistani industry, because once we have good people, they get opportunities from abroad, and then they obviously get more salaries abroad, and the good resources are always leaving the companies in Pakistan. So if you have a good background and you are a good data analyst, there is a lot of opportunity on almost every big company which is dealing with data analysis. Data mining and data slicing, it is part of the data analytics life cycle. Basically, you just slice or mine the data first and then build upon the data model, and then you go and do the analysis. Okay, which YouTube channel is best? I think I've put that in the slide. Can Power BI Cloud Web Services provide session and login for specific users for developers to integrate? Yes, they have a complete integration. In fact, they have a complete now what you can call as CI/CD kind of a system, where the developers have their own workspace where they create these reports and dashboards. Then they have these web apps, and then there are people who are kind of doing the testing, and then you kind of go and deploy that solution in the workspace, like you should deploy any solution in any other solution in the cloud or on any server. So it's kind of similar to that, but it's a slightly different in terms of the overall understanding. Can you kindly share? I'm going to share these slides with you at the end of the presentation, so don't worry. Can you add custom header and footer banner in Power BI? You can add anything that you want. I'm just going to show you the demo, and you can see, it's not like a top of the line demo, but like it says like 6 or 7 out of 10. You can safely say that it has that kind of rating, and it covers all those things. What is generally observed while hiring candidates that they don't actually know what is data science? It totally depends upon the job description that is there. And if the job description says that you need to have an understanding of data science, then yes, you need to go and have that understanding. So totally depends upon the job description. So data analytics and data analyst, basically these are the different terms. You can find the very detailed differences on the net, but in general, once we are talking about analytics and an analyst, we are talking in general, we are talking about the same kind of persona or the same kind of the role. So I'm going to start with the demo. Don't worry, we have time till 7 o'clock.
Sir, we have
G, I'm going to go to the question and answer. G.
We have multiple
Yes.
questions in the Q&A section as well. Can we address
Yes.
them too?
I think let me just go through this very quickly, the questions in the Q&A, or maybe I can come back to the end. Maybe I can do the demo first. I think let me complete the demo first, and then we can see that even we can, even extend the time. I'm just saying this. So let's move over to the demo, I think, and then we can come back and answer the questions. And then obviously we can talk to the people also. Okay, so let me share my Power BI screen. So if you go and download Power BI, just Google Power BI desktop. There are two ways where you can go and download Power BI. One is within the Windows itself. Go to the Windows Microsoft Store in your Windows machine, and just type Microsoft Power BI desktop, and then install that. Or if you can just go and if you're sitting on the web, you can just go and write Microsoft Power BI desktop download, and you can get a link where you can just go and download that. So let me show you a basic demo that I recently built. So as a part of learning and as a part of experimenting that I do myself also, is that the best way is to make to solve problems that are posted on different forums on the web. So there are different competitions or challenges that are there, and one of the challenges that recently took place was to build a one page report or one page a dashboard that covers the history of the Formula One World Championship. So there is a very good resource. I am also put that on my slide, which is Enterprise DNA, and they have this challenge that happens every month, and they have different topics that are posted every month, and then you basically build a solution and then you share that solution, and then obviously there are winners and people who do well, and there are certain prizes also. So basically I just picked up this example to show that how basically you can go and download a data set from a source like Kaggle, and bring that data, do the ETL on that data, build a data model, and then build, make a dashboard similar to what I'm showing you right now. So this is the Power BI desktop interface that you see on my screen. So within this tool, there is another interface that is dedicated for the loading and transformation, which is called as Power Query. So this is the Power Query tool, which is basically the ETL tool, or where you can go and clean your data, connect to the data, bring in the data, load the data once you are done anything related to your data model. You do the transformations and do all kind of stuff. This is the tool that is there in Power BI. And so what I have done is that I have gone and I have connected to the Kaggle data set. I'm going to post the link to that in the chat section also. So if you just Google Formula One data set Kaggle, you're going to get a link where the Formula One data is available for the last 71 years or 72 years, from 1950 to the latest race that has happened last weekend. And I have participated in a challenge and went through the same path, and I went into the data sources connectivity options, and you see there are so many options which are available. So if I click on this link, we have like more than 100 connectors, close to 100 or maybe more than 100 connectors which are available to us. You can connect to an Excel workbook, you can connect to a CSV, XML, JSON, all kinds of databases. We have the connectivity available in Power BI. So all you need to do is just go and select the required connector, enter the desired credentials of the database, and you're good to go. Bring in the data, and then you can start building your data model. So there could be the web sources, there could be any database. So these are the connectors which are there, and every month they are adding more and more connectors to this. So what I did was that I went into the to the Kaggle source, brought these data, and built a data model, which is the understanding that you need to have. You need to have the basic understanding of a dimensional data model. And once you have that understanding, then you make this data model where you have certain dimensions or lookup tables, and then you have certain fact tables. Fact tables are the tables which contain actually the columns which are used for analysis. And then you go and do the cleaning of the data. You go and do the transformation. You go and do all kinds of things that you want to do. You can delete the data, you can merge the columns, you can pivot, you can unpivot, and all sorts of things. And once you have done that, then you can go and import this data in the actual tool itself. So this is the Power Query. These are the options I'm talking about: transpose, reversing any rows, converging the data type, replacing certain values, pivoting, unpivoting, merging, doing some statistical operations, doing some scientific operations, adding something based upon certain logic. You can have a conditional column, you can have some certain logic that you bring in from the custom columns and stuff like that. And once you have done with everything and you have your whole data model ready, then you just go and start building your data model. So this is the main interface. And here the data model that I was just talking about. So here is the dimensional data model. I'm just going to kind of zoom in to this thing. And here you see that this is the logic that I have made. These are my dimensional tables or my lookup tables, and these are my fact tables. And we teach everything that how you do this kind of data modeling, how you create these relationships, and why these are important, and why what kind of stuff that you can do with these. So all these things you go and you learn. And once you have done this, then the next step comes is where you build your actual analysis. And the analysis is basically done in DAX. And what DAX is DAX basically is that you do your calculations. You write your calculations. If you are calculating an average, you are calculating, maybe you are summing something, you are counting something. It totally, each and everything that you want to do, you can do that. And it can be something as simple as this, or it could be something, as complex as maybe like 15 or 20 lines of code, 10 lines of code, maybe more than that. So it totally depends that what kind of logic you're trying to build and what kind of analysis you are going to do. And then you have all these visuals, that the ones that I showed in the slide also. And then you select those visuals, and then you design your report and dashboard, and then you can create this kind of an analysis. So if you can see the here, so I have this table where I have basically shown all the countries or all the cities where the Grand Prix, the Formula One Grand Prix take place. And for every year, there is an order associated with these races. So for like 1955, the first race was in Argentina. And for that, if you put your mouse on that, you can just go and see that what was the result for the qualification for the process where the pole position is decided. So you have this control here. And if I change this control from qualifying to basically race day, I can just simply switch that, and I can go and see that information for the race day also. So I can just go and see that what kind of information is there for this Grand Prix, who was the winner and who was the constructor and stuff like that. And then if somebody wants to explore stats related to the drivers, then I have this interface. We all know, we have all probably heard about Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, Alan Prost, Sebastian Vettel, all these drivers, and you can just put all the stats which are relevant to each of these drivers. And everything has been done in Power BI. These tool tips I have designed, how you bring these kind of backgrounds, how you build these kind of, color schemes, everything that, you can do that. Then we have another option where, you can create a website with kind of an experience where you can maneuver between, or you can, jump between different screens. So that visual was showing the title wins. Now this is showing the race wins. And again, you can see some kind of analysis is there, that how many races were participated by Lewis Hamilton and how many of those races he won. So it is like 26% of the races, he has won in which he has participated. And again, you can show another additional information in the tooltips. And similarly here, there are certain things which are related to the constructor. And again, there are what we call as bookmarks. I have put bookmarks here, and you can see, you know, the information that can be shown. So you can, you know, go and develop very complex solutions without, you know, going into multiple reports. So I can have a very complex report where I have like maybe a dozen different pages, or maybe I can have a very simple one page report or a dashboard that you know, that integrates a lot of information into one. So all of this that you learn through your, you know, the basic understanding of DAX and basic understanding of how visualization works. But ultimately you have to do these things hands on, and there are so many resources on the internet where you can, you know, pick anything related to any industry, any business problem, and you know, you can just go and start building your own dashboard. So this was a very short kind of a demo that, you know, talks about Power BI. So there are so many options available here. I'm not going to go into the details. The point is that we cover each and every segment of this in the training that we offer, or any free resource on the internet. They're going to talk about one of these aspects. Some people are talking about DAX, some people are talking about data modeling, some people are just talking about the tricks and, you know, how you can make your visualizations attractive and stuff like that. So this is all about the demo. So let me go and see what questions are there in the Q&A section. So there is a question from Moiz Arif. Sir, my brother is currently working as a marketing manager, but he wants to pursue a career towards data science. He is not able to take out time for learning and worried about if he quits the job and focuses. Can you give guidance? Is there a way that he can earn and learn data science? So ultimately, you have to, you know, we all professionals have some spare time on our either on a weekday we spend some time, or on a daily basis, or maybe on a weekend we can spend certain hours. You ultimately have to take time out of your you know, routine, and you know, spend some time learning all these things. So there is no shortcut to that. I am a mom returning back to work. The question from Hina Raja: after a big career gap and wish to get into the industry, I have some preliminary self-study and planning to learn Power BI. Is there any certification available in the industry for Power BI? I have talked about that. There is just one certification offered by Microsoft, which is the DA 100 exam. And obviously, I've talked about the resources where you can go and learn that. Working as a demand analyst at GSK, I want to increase my data understanding. We have extensive Power BI use, and our lives basically depend on data visualization, and enrolled in a course with DICE for 4 weeks. I want to know if there is something I can go for for further increase my knowledge. I think go and explore those resources that I've shared on this. And if you are, you know, interested in going into the higher level things, then probably DAX is something that you want to work on, because ultimately data modeling and visualization, they have a very kind of a saturated kind of learning. But DAX is something that, you know, you need to focus, and there are programs on the net that you can find. Can we use data tools to visualize? Again, I think I've answered this. RPA framework, I've also answered this. Certification tools I've covered. We are covering all 4 pillars here, right? And how much time will it take? We have just touched upon the, you know, the title of the webinar was how to pursue a career. It was never going to be we are going to cover all those. It's just a introductory kind of a thing. So you need to enroll in the workshop if you want to go in further details. Can Power BI Cloud Web Services provide sessions? I think I have answered that question also. And any on-site training available? You know, there is COVID happening, and it's not safe to conduct on-site trainings right now. All these trainings were on-site previously, but obviously because of the COVID situation, we cannot offer on-site training, and we cannot promise you once these would be available. So till the time that it is safe to have people in a classroom, all the trainings are basically online. Is Power BI a secure platform? You know, it's very secure. There are lots of, you know, layers of security which are there, and they are adding more and more things every month in every updates. So don't need to worry about, unless there is a specific company policy that you need to follow. Can I use Python? Yes, you can use Python. There are certain limitations on using Python, and there are certain things which you need to understand for integration of Python, but yes, Python and R both, they can be integrated and visuals from Python can be built. I have completed DA 100 and Google Data Analytics certification. Are there more certifications to enhance? If you've done DA 100, probably then you understand each and everything that I've talked about today. So probably you just need to, work on advanced level business problems, learn advanced DAX, and work on real life problems, and probably that is the learning path that you need to take. So I think I've kind of answered. Any effective website that can help you practice? Kaggle is one. Then there is data.world, where you can find data sets. All you need to do is find good data sets related to relevant industries, and go and solve those problems like people solve on Kaggle. Go and get those data sets, and then build a good resume, build your good profile. You can publish these dashboards to the web, and put your link on your resume, or maybe you can have those in your LinkedIn, kind of that. Yes, the recording would be available later. So I have kind of answered all these questions. So if there is any question from the attendees, they want to ask now.
Well, we have multiple questions on
the chat.
no, on LinkedIn. Can I read them out for you? And
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
All right. So we have a question from Sham Khan Niazi. He's asking, as you said, the first pillar of Power BI is transform and load. So this is the same as ETL. If it is, then we don't need to do ETL in the first place while extracting data from a relational database.
Yes, theoretically you can do ETL in any other tool, or you can do ETL in Power BI. There are certain limitations, there are certain restrictions on a case-to-case basis. If you have a data warehouse, then probably you don't need to do ETL, because the data is already been kind of placed in the data warehouse in a manner that you can just go and connect and do the kind of reporting directly. So basically the Power Query editor is there. So if you don't have any other tool, you can go and use that tool, and it offers almost everything that any other tool has to offer. So to answer the question, it's not necessary to do the ETL part. You can go directly from and connect to a database or a data warehouse and start doing the reporting and visualization directly. Yes.
All right. Another question from Sham is difference between BI and data science. Both require data cleaning, transformation, and applying visualization on the data.
The end objective of data science is to build a model, whether it is a regression model or a classification model, or maybe a clustering solution, which probably is different from the end goal you have in a data visualization, where we are solving the different recurring issues that are there in the company, which are required for day-to-day business running of the business, or for decision making. For data science, it is more about the prediction part. You are planning for the future. So there is a slight difference, but obviously you can do all of this as part of the data science as well. With the exploratory data analysis, you are kind of doing something different, similar, but the goal is not to explore, but to explain, or to basically kind of narrate if there is a story in the data. So the end goal is different, but the methodology is very similar. Yes, next.
Another question from him is this myth is true that getting a job as a fresher in data science is quite difficult as compared to a BI developer or data analyst?
Yes, it is easy to get a job as a BI developer, like I mentioned in the start. That is kind of the lowest hanging fruit, because you need to have less knowledge, less requirements. And for a data scientist, you need to have a much more understanding of math, stats, and some of the other algorithms, and good programming language as well. As a BI developer, you can go and just go ahead and without any technical background, you can start doing your work. Yes.
Badr Ramzan is asking, I have go through your course content for business analytics and business intelligence. So how we can distinguish it in data ecosystem?
I think our business intelligence BI course is more tool specific, and the business analytics course is mainly related to the different techniques that you learn as from a business analyst point of view. So for the BI is basically more towards the data analyst, and the business business analytics is the you learn more about the business, the technical jargon of the business, the different KPIs that you measure and stuff like that. So there is some difference, between the contents. I think those differences have been explained in detail in all of those outlines.
Abdul Haseeb is asking that in another webinar, it was told that Power BI is just 20% visualization, whereas Tableau is 80% visualization.
Yes, kind of, putting something in, in a different context is like Tableau is more towards enhancing your visualization. So 80% means that 80% of the time in Tableau you spend, doing the visualization. But in Power BI, you are more focused on the analysis, because Power BI is more powerful once you are, looking to conduct complex analysis. The DAX, programming and the analytical engine of Power BI is much powerful than Tableau once you are doing complex analysis. And obviously, the visualization part is the Tableau is more suited, for making and beautifying stuff in terms of the visualization. But again, it's like depends upon your experience and your own perception, because I've worked on both tools, and I would say that Power BI is very closely catching on Tableau in terms of the options that were lacking in Power BI in terms of the visual part. Yes. Next, Zenna.
That's all.
That's all. These are all the questions. So is there anything that anybody wants to ask? They can unmute their mic and they can ask. Urdu mein bhi pooch sakte hain. They can ask in Urdu as well.
They can raise their hand and we can unmute them.
Yeah, if there is anybody. Zainab, can you unmute those people?
Yes, sir, I have unmuted them.
Okay. Hello, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. So अब मैं पूछना ये चाह रहा था कि आपने जैसे बताया कि बहुत इजी है पावर बीआई और बीआई का काम. तो इसमें एक इशू ये है कि इसमें कन्विंस किस तरह से करें कि आई एम गुड एट पावर बीआई और हूँ भी किस तरह से गुड, क्योंकि ड्रैग ड्रॉप करके विजुअलाइजेशन बनाना आई डोंट थिंक ये बहुत बड़ा कोई काम है. सो वो कंपैरिजन किस तरह से होगा कि ओके आई एम गुड एट पावर बीआई, ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने सिर्फ ड्रैग ड्रॉप करके एक विजुअलाइजेशन बना दिए. सो वो मैं पूछना चाह रहा था.
So I think this is a very relevant question. Let me repeat that question in English. So I think Mr. Fazan has asked this question. Mr. Fazan has asked this question that how would somebody know that how good is he or she in Power BI, as if the Power BI is as simple as like dragging and dropping. So firstly, Fazan, it's not that simple. I've talked about, I think, the data storytelling part. Basically, it looks simple. But once you go and do the analysis and answer the business questions, it's frankly, it's not that simple. And if you are making visualizations for very, very simple stuff, then probably the company is looking at very, very, less portion of the data, or they're just having a very superficial look at the data. So normally the business questions that you have and the business questions that you solve to actually influence data-based decision making, they are complex. So you start off with very simple things, and then you slowly build upon, and build upon those insights. And there are different forums on the net, on the web, where you go and you can post your work, and people give you your feedback. You can yourself see that how the visualization that you have made, it looks in compared to the other professionals who are in the industry and they are doing it. So that is the only way to learn. And obviously within the organization, you have senior people, and they they can comment on your work. And if they're happy with your work, then that's the end goal that you want. That's the end thing that you want. So I hope I answered your question.
All right, thanks. Yeah, you answered.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, G.
Okay, basically I have two questions. The first one is, what are the best ETL tools or languages to process huge data? Like we have billions of rows. So generally we use R, so it takes around like few hours to process the data. So for on a normal system, on a normal working machine, which is the best tool software? Some of the examples which I can tell you, like Pentaho, Naim, or any other. If you have like, have you experienced this, or what are the best in your opinion?
So I would say that the mother of all these is SQL. Then you have the dedicated tools like Talent. Just go and search these what these tools are. Then there is Informatica. And these are all ETL tools. And obviously the tools that you have mentioned, they're also good at ETL. But if you are like planning to do something in an organized way, and you are going to do analysis in a systematic way where it requires BI, then you're not going to go and solve these ad hoc queries inside that BI tool. Then SQL is probably the best. And obviously then you need to learn SQL. It becomes complex if you are solving complex problems, but SQL is probably SQL, Talent, Informatica. They are the tools which are probably the best in terms of ETL, extracting, not the extracting part, basically just the transformation and the loading part. And obviously
the main problem is the processing, actually, to process the data.
Yes. So ultimately, if you have a very big data, then ultimately any tool that you use, it is going to be, it all comes down to the underlying computing power that you have. But all the big data tools also, like Spark or the Hive and so something like Impala, they also use SQL. So ultimately, you are extracting information and transforming it for your further analysis. And if you're going to solve just the ad hoc queries, then again it is SQL. But go and explore Talent and Informatica. They are also very good.
And another thing, I think this will be helpful for freshers. उर्दू में बता देता हूँ, maybe fresh लोगों के लिए ज़्यादा बेहतर है. मैं अपनी ओपिनियन दे सकता हूँ, लेकिन आप बेहतर है कि फ्रेश लोगों को ये बता दें कि किस डायरेक्शन में या कौन से टूल पे पहले फोकस करें. Thousands of tools, thousands of everything, मतलब सब कुछ अवेलेबल है. अब इशू ये होता है, क्योंकि मैं भी लोगों को हायर कर रहा होता हूँ, तो उनको ये डायरेक्शन नहीं पता होती कि मैंने इस चीज को पर्टिकुलर करना है. फॉर एग्जांपल पावर बीआई, टैबल्यू, माइक्रोस्ट्रेटजी, इस तरह के पर्टिकुलर टूल्स हैं, तो किसी एक चीज को फोकस करें, फर्दर वो कर लेंगे. मतलब इस पे आप थोड़ा सा कमेंट कर दें बाकियों के लिए.
Gee, I think it's a very valid point. I think I've talked about it, touched upon it within my presentation. I think the first thing that you need to look at is how what path you want to pursue. And the first thing that you do is do the experimentation. And it is the easiest thing to experiment is with something which is absolutely free. So Excel is free, SQL is free. Just need to download the SQL Server or MySQL or anything like that. All of these are free, and then Power BI is also free. So just go and experiment, do some experimentation, follow a path, go and explore all the free resources that are available. Then see, go to the different job sites and see what kind of openings are there in the industry, and just kind of look at 50 or 60 different job descriptions. Make a list, see what are the common points, like which are there in like 30%, in like 60% of those requirements. Then you can focus on those requirements and or the tools which are required. Then build your skills on those tools, and then go and and explore the opportunities and apply for the job position. So so to summarize, basically it's not a very simple process, but the tools which are available, they are very simple. People don't even know how to use Excel. People don't know how to make a good PowerPoint presentation. So even that is something that most of the graduates that we see in the industry, they don't have. So the next step obviously would be to play around and experiment with all of these things, and then go and visit the job sites and see what is what is there which is relevant in the industry. And obviously if you're looking at 50, 60 or like 100 job postings, then you are going to easily figure out that what is required and what is relevant for the industry. I hope I have added to whatever you have just mentioned before.
Yes, thank you. And lastly, like I want to appreciate what you're doing. Your efforts, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else? Is there any question from anybody? The recording would be available. People are asking. I would share the PowerPoint presentation. If the recording is there, then the PPT is also there. But I think I can share the PowerPoint also if the DICE management has no issues with that, or we can see post some of the extracts from that. We can do that. So Zainab, is there any other question? Anybody willing to Okay. So thank you very much. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much for the questions and for the comments. I hope this was useful and fruitful for anybody and everybody who is interested in this area. And please feel free to ask about the various courses that I talked about. If there are any queries related to the course contents that we offer, we can give you a one-to-one reply on that. The email and the other links have been shared by Zainab. So thank you, Zainab. Thank you very much for everybody.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. It was a great informative session indeed. And to all the attendees, please email us for the recording or any queries regarding our trainings at info@diceanalytics.pk or drop a message at our Facebook page. Take care, everyone. I think that's all for today. Goodbye.